Hi everyone, I'm Jada Burt and this is In My Tracks. You know that feeling when a song comes on and it's so good that it feels like you're frozen in time? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. Songs that stop me in my tracks. I chat with musicians about their inspiration, process, and challenges, and you discover your new favorite songs. Doran Danoff is a Nashville-based singer-songwriter, producer, multi-instrumentalist, and composer whose work has been featured in films such as the LEGO Ninjago Movie and one of my favorite shows of all time, You're the Worst on FX. He also composed string arrangements for Cage the Elephant's album Unpeeled. He pulls from every genre under the sun to create funky, soulful, and rock-drenched tunes that can be enjoyed by music lovers of all types. Let's get tracking. Hello and welcome to In My Tracks with Jada Burt. Today I'm speaking with Doran Danoff and I'm really excited to learn more about him as an artist and as a person. So how did you get into making music?
Yeah, thanks, Jada. If we take it back to the beginning, it sort of goes back to my family. I come from a musical family. My mother is a singer and I sort of grew up in a house that was filled with music. My grandmother used to sing songs. My mother used to sing songs, and we always had a piano in the house. So it was from pretty early on that I was surrounded by a lot of music. And, like I said, like young kids, we get introduced to an instrument like the piano as sort of a mandatory thing. And I also followed in that path a bit. And that was my first introduction to actually playing an instrument was the obligatory piano lessons, which ran their course. And eventually I got super fed up and frustrated and bored with it and bagged that whole thing. And it wasn't until I was a little bit older that I came back to the piano and found a whole new way of communicating with it and experiencing it. And that was really when I fell in love with music in a really deep way.
That's beautiful to be able to have a journey from feeling like you're obligated to learn an instrument, learn classical pieces, and kind of force yourself to be disciplined so you can come back to your instructor and show them that you've progressed to being able to play for fun and kind of learn on your own and develop your own sound. Who would you say are some of the artists that really sparked your love for music and improvising and, just making your own music?
Oh, that's a tough question for me. I got to be honest, because after sort of abandoning that obligatory musical path, I came to the piano back with much more of a sense of trying to explore and improvise and utilize the instrument to express myself. And originally the thing that really opened that up was when I was in junior high school. A friend of mine, he taught me the blues on the piano, and that form, being able to use such a simple form to express myself and start to like develop a vocabulary, that really opened up music in a whole new way for me and allowed me to just kind of close my eyes, open my ears, and pound on the piano as loud as I wanted or as quietly as I wanted to, and just get a sense of the range of what could be done with music. So from that point on, really it was just a never-ending quest to like understand sound, understand music, understand all the great artists that have created the greatest works of music. So I just dove into everything. I mean, it started with jazz when I got serious about music, really listening to the great piano players, people like Art Tatum and Bud Powell, Oscar Peterson, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, all of the titans of jazz from every era, going back to like ragtime and, Errol Garner and Jelly Roll Morton, and then, into like swing era piano players and then bebop and then, everything from then on. but at the same time, as I was really digging into jazz and blues and all the sort of like, the family tree that falls from those origins, I of course like lived in a modern era and was obsessed with modern music. And, I can't say there's like a specific artist. I listen to so much different music. I listen to classical. I listen to jazz. I listen to electronic music and avant-garde music and pop and country and, in rap and hip hop and like jungle and drum, and from each of those genres, each of those places, I'm taking things that are just expanding my mind and putting them into what I'm trying to do with music. Funny enough, though, I will say this just as like a little footnote, and I won't rant too long on this, but like when I was a kid, I used to listen to just straight up gangster rap. Like when I was like a teenager, that was it. Like I listened to gangster rap from the West Coast and like, and was just like, a 90s kid. And that's what we listened to. And then in high school, it turned into being a hippie and really digging into like the music from the 60s, like, all that folk and rock and then beyond. So it's just like, it's been a never ending quest for me to find new sounds, to listen to new artists. There's so many role models for me. It would take this whole podcast to list them all, I swear.
I get that. That is amazing that you never like put yourself in a box and just kind of continued learning and expanding and just experimenting with your sound and with your influences, and not even in an intentional way. You were just kind of just trying to learn and enjoy yourself in the process. What kind of topics were you trying to cover through your discovery of the blues, since that is such an expansive genre?
Well, the blues it's raw and honest in such a simplistic way that I think just as that, it becomes such a foundational like way to think about using music to say something. Obviously, like the blues subject matter is kind of a similar subject matter to pop music. It's songs about love, it's songs about pain, songs about hope, songs, I think the blues in particular obviously has like an aspect of struggle to the topics that are covered in that. I think I could relate a lot to that because I think for a lot of people, music is a way of relating to their struggles, whatever they might be, whether it's a struggle of pain or a struggle of love, or even if it's a hopeful, joyous struggle. I think music in that way, in blues especially, is a foundational like genre for so much of what is going on, as the result of blues historically.
Absolutely. And
does that answer the question? I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to say, like,
absolutely.
I'm not a strict blues artist, so it's not like,
yeah, just kind of like it. I found it interesting that your friend taught you about the blues when you were in high school. So I felt like it could have been like an emo situation. Like that was your way. You kind of found your way to express your sadness, your pain, or your unrequited love, things like that. So
yeah, back then when I was just starting out, I wasn't really writing or thinking lyrically or even vocally. It was really more about how much the music itself and like the power of being able to pound on the keys, playing the blues and feel free, and feel as though like it was in my hands and I could control it, not like I'm reading something off a piece of paper that was written 300 years ago,
Absolutely.
It felt like it was mine to have and to do what I wanted to with. And that was the magic,
Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful thing to be able to use something that felt like an obligation before to express yourself and continue growing as an individual. Who would you say that you make music for?
Oh, it depends. Nowadays, it depends who I'm making music for. It depends on the project. I mean, just to like fast forward to where things are at now, you know, it's like I'm a full-time songwriter and producer, and like I very much, like I said, my influences run the full spectrum of genre, you know, in every era. Like I've learned how to write in every style of music, and I write music in every style. When it comes to tracks of my own, like my artist project, I'm writing them for, I don't know, I write them for themselves. You know, a song is, it's really, it gets into a bit of like, I think some gray area as to say like who a song is written for. Every song has its own story, you know. Some songs are written for a lover, you know. Some songs are written about an enemy. Some songs I write purely because I just had this, I have an idea that I want to create a world, a story, tell a story. You know, I think every song is different and every project's different. So, you know, I think when I was, the first songs I wrote, they were poems, you know. So I guess in that sense, I wrote them for myself. But it's just, yeah, that's a tough question because like the audience changes, the writer changes, you know. I'm speaking about myself in the third person because I'm cool like that. You know, I don't know. Does that answer it a little bit?
Yeah, totally. So every song has this different story, and every song is kind of written to a different person, if it is written to a person at all. How do you typically like serve the song? Like, how do you make sure that you're not kind of repeating yourself or just, you know, tiring yourself out? Like, how do you make sure every song kind of stands on its own?
Wow. Well, you know, I think that just comes from a place of like the source, you know. The process is always different, you know. So like I said, sometimes a song is a real struggle. Sometimes it takes a long time to like really get it out in the best way that you can, and especially to like realize ideas and have the lyrics really capture the emotion and the intellectual sort of world that the song is in. You know, I think the songs for me oftentimes are never done. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so you know, my stuff is always like really meticulously grinded and worked on until I feel like I've really, you know, I've really gotten as close as I can to the vision that I'm hearing in my head. You know, the process is it's long sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's just like I'm walking out in the world and I hear a melody in my head and I put it into my voice memo, and then I go home and it's like the song just unravels like a ball of yarn in like perfect ease. Those are beautiful moments, but that's rare.
Absolutely. I definitely understand being a perfectionist and never feeling like your projects are done.
Mm.
Do you, how do you even
Much to
manage?
my, yeah, much to my like partners. I mean, if I, you know, my collaborators and thing, you know, it's always a point of contention. You know, my collaborators be like, "Ah, shit, man, you said another revision. Like, really? Like, you heard that one little like off note or that one beat that's off? Like, how do you, you know?" And it's just a tirelessness for, you know, it's probably totally futile and pointless, because, you know, all the things that really make a song magical are the basic parts. You know, I think all the like the details and arranging and all that is just sort of like putting makeup on the song that is the sort of core of it, which is the lyrics and the melody, you know. So sometimes it's a struggle. Like sometimes I feel like, oh, maybe I'm not as happy with the lyrics and the melody, and I gotta like fluff it up. But it always goes back to that. Like, what is this song saying? You know, especially when it comes to my artist stuff. I really try to either tell a story that is a topic that I'm just exploring, or speak about something that's really close to my heart. Yeah.
Absolutely.
These are
So,
broad questions. These are hard, you know, there's a lot to say on this stuff.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thinking about yourself as an artist and a producer, and songwriter. What would you say you want to be known for as you continue growing in your career?
Oh, um, what would I like to be known for? Well, my charming personality. And no, just kidding. I think for the music stuff, it's just like quality. I think I want to leave at least whatever legacy I can of like quality music. I've always strived for diversity in my sound, trying, different things. Like, my limited album catalog really is representative of the range of music I'm constantly moving through. So like my first full length record, The Ghost and the Scratch, was very much at the time I was really into a world of like folk and Americana, and it sort of has a sound that's in that world. Very acoustic, very organic arrangements with like strings and woodwinds. And then, my second full length album, The King of Crown City, is like straight up like funk and soul. And then some of my more contemporary, more recent singles are like getting into more pop genres and cross genre hybrid stuff. So I guess my legacy is just like diversity and quality. And I continue to just explore new sonic worlds and hope to for the rest of my life. So I hope that by the end of the story, of my musical career, it'll just be this amazing kind of tapestry, this like jukebox of styles. And that would be cool to leave that behind.
Absolutely. I think it's really cool that you not only explore different genres, but you actually release them for your, full-length records because, it can get boring to release the same album over and over again or just try to stick to one genre. So I think that really sets you apart that you not only explore different genres, but you actually make songs within them and put them out into the world. It adds a lot to your catalog, of course, but also to your listeners' collections because it really can get boring to just keep being regurgitated the same things just because you're stuck in a pop box
Right,
or an
right.
alternative box. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
awesome.
but it's a bit of a double-edged sword though. It's fun for me because I get to do that and explore. But, when it comes to like record labels and sort of all the narrow boxes that you have to fit in the mainstream music, in the mainstream like music business, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to like be taken seriously if you're not like, oh, this is your sound. Like you have this one sound, this is the lane that you fit in and you stay in that lane. And, for that reason, I've had to basically be committed to being an independent artist for my career. And I self-release all my stuff on my own labels and have done that since day one. So, it's cool because I get to do what I want to do and nobody can tell me that I can't do it. But it's hard to get like the kind of broader support when you don't fit into just one lane, specifically.
Absolutely. And that is a shame that that's still going on now. But I think we've seen a really nice change in the music business where artists are kind of deciding to do their own thing and instead of trying to fit into the label box. And it seems like labels now are now trying to find fully fleshed artists instead
Yeah,
of trying to
totally.
develop
Yeah.
artists. So it's definitely a weird shift that we're in. So I'll be interested to see, how that continues and how that goes in the future. Because yeah, it seems like a lot of people are just served by being independent right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're living in a very interesting time right now for music. I feel like, the playing field has been leveled in a lot of ways for artists, because of all the platforms that are available to access listeners, but at the same time too, I think the like this sort of flash culture of like finding a song and having it become like a viral thing and trying to not that an artist is necessarily specifically gearing towards that, though they are. I think like, you know, there is opportunity now that I don't think I had when I was starting out, you know, to really reach a huge global audience just from your bedroom. You know, I think that's awesome. And record labels know that, and they're scared of that because they're realizing they don't have the power that they used to anymore.
Yep.
So, you know, it's exciting. You know, there's a lot of really talented people right now that are young and inspired and know how to use, you know, social media and those tools really well. I feel a bit like a dinosaur because I never really had the personality that could like execute, you know, that sort of forward facing, like outward, you know, extroverted kind of vibe of like really hustling on social media and all that. It's definitely, I think there are people that are good at it and others that it's just not meant for, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It really is it really is a challenge. It seems like the social media piece is a huge part of your life as an artist today. And
Yeah.
before, like publicity and all like marketing, that was kind of something you did when you had to do it. But now it's kind of like that's like 50% of your day, maybe even more.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I can't, yeah, like I can't mess with it because it's just I don't have the time to do it. You know, like I'm in the studio, I'm working on projects every day, and it's like there's not enough bandwidth to like be present like that. So, but it's, you know, it's cool. Like I think it's good for music. I think it's good. There's there's so many talented musicians that are like coming up with incredibly inspired talent, like, and they're it's cool. It's like watching the mountain of musicality just grow and grow at generation to generation. Like some of these younger players that I'm seeing are just like, you know, they've got incredible training. They're like, their skills on instruments, they're like crazy multi-instrumental phenoms, and it's exciting. Like it's cool, you know. It's just yeah, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if it actually makes worthwhile art or if it's just a pop trend. We shall see.
Right.
I'm a bit old school like that, you know, like I'm just trying to make tracks, and do what I can to get them out in the world.
Absolutely. I totally see both sides. It's like half the time I think it's really cool that everyone can be on the world stage, and then sometimes it feels like kind of dystopian to where like you're in your bedroom or you're in a studio and you're playing your music, but you have to turn a camera on so you can make content. So I
Right.
definitely see both sides of that. But going on with that sort of thought, what would you say? Because you've been playing for a long time, a very long time. So what would you say is your favorite song that you've released?
Ooh, favorite song that I've released. Oh man, that's tough. I really like this track that I put out last year. It's a little side project called Lumpaka. We put out this song called "Don't Give Up" that I really liked it. I think it represents a lot of what I've been striving for, which is kind of bringing all my influences and mixing them together to kind of give birth to something new and hybrid. It's got aspects of like my funk and jazz roots, but also some like more modern stuff and psychedelic, you know, kind of trippy arrangement things that I really love to pepper into my music these days. And that one of recent, really, I was really proud of. And you know, I mean, other songs. There's some songs on my album, The Ghost and the Scratch, that I'm really proud of, just as songs, kind of just more classic pop songs, like my song "Friend of Mine," which is a recording. I did a duet with this amazing singer named Leslie Stevens in LA. I really love "Friend of Mine." I love some of the songs on that Ghost in the Scratch record, like the title track, "The Ghost in the Scratch." I was really proud of just the story behind it. And then I worked with this incredible orchestral arranger, this man named Olivier Manchon, who helped put together this amazing string and woodwind arrangement. So I'm really proud of that stuff on that. The Ghost in the Scratch record was, for me, something I worked so hard and so long on. That record I'm really proud of, for sure. I mean, I'm proud of all my shit.
Yes. You know, everyone has a favorite child. You just don't say it. Going along with that, what is your favorite song to perform? Like, I feel like it's different to kind of spend so much time writing and producing and kind of mulling over the details, and then moving on to the performing piece where you're in front of an audience and seeing how they react. So I'd love to know where you are with that now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, performing is its own beast, for a long time, performing for me was challenging because I'm mainly a keyboardist. So like pianos and keys is my main instrument. So, when I was starting to perform out, I'd have a piano, and performing, I used to perform solo when I was just starting, just solo piano, and you're singing your really serious, emotional, heartfelt songs on a solo piano, in a little nightclub. That's like really, really terrifying. You really got your heart on your sleeve and you're just exposed. And there's something about the piano, and there's like the richness of it, and there's an elegance to it. It's very different than being a singer-songwriter on a guitar. You get a lot more rhythm in the guitar than you can, sort of do with the piano. That sort of supports you, and the piano feels very exposed to me. And I think for that reason, one of my favorite songs to play is this song called Dr. Solution. And that song is also on the record, The Ghost in the Scratch. And it's kind of this, I wrote it as sort of this like New Orleans, French Quarter, Dr. John, Professor Longhair kind of weird, almost like something out of a show. Like I created this character, and I love singing that because it feels like I'm out of myself, and I kind of assume this character, this guy, the Dr. Solution. He's sort of this I don't know, like hoodoo doctor, and I love kind of putting that hat on and being that character, and the audience loves it too. It's always been one that people really gravitate towards. That one's really fun. And then I'd have to say my song So Bad is super fun to play because it's just a funk banger, and I can belt out and, shake the room with my voice.
That's really cool. Thinking about the idea of using a different persona and kind of pulling yourself together to really like wear your heart on your sleeve and play the piano. Like you said, it really is an exposing instrument. Like you're just out in the open. There's nothing covering you when you're singing and accompanying yourself on piano. What are the other ways, or what are the other things you do to kind of help yourself build the confidence you need to just get out there and play, since you really are so exposed?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think, if you're a musician and you're an artist, there's nothing you want to do more than like share your music and play. That's just what your body, that's what your heart is telling you to do. The irony is, there's a million more musicians out there than there are, venues that can give them a space or a stage to perform in. And like, for the first part of your career, it's like you're knocking on every door, begging people basically to let you play. Just to have a moment, just to see what you can do, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying to like step up on the stage, especially, if you're in a city you've never been to, or you're playing in front of an audience that doesn't know you. And you're just like, okay, this is me. This is my story. This is my voice. These are my songs. Listen to them, like them, hate them, whatever. But you're up there and and I'm sort of speaking like rhetorically here, but like for me, it's just what I had to do, like to get up on stage. I wanted to sing so bad. I wanted to be able to share what I thought was, was my gift,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful thing to just kind of pull yourself off the
Yeah.
floor and just say, well, this is what I want to do. And it's scary, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, it's borderline insane if you think about it. I mean, it's like, yeah, I want to go stand in front of people and share with them my sort of deepest works of art, and hope that they at least enjoy it. But it's weird. It's a bug. People call it the bug. People call it a lot of things, but it's just it feels like you have to do it. Like nothing will satisfy you until you do it.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned you feel like you have to do it because it, yeah, like being in music, it seems like when you're doing other things like to support it or just trying to make your way to it, it feels like it's sort of something that like pulls at your leg. So how did you know that this was your path? Like, was it like a sort of aching feeling like, oh, I hate literally everything I'm trying right now. I'm only meant to be pursuing music. Was there something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I would kind of describe it, and this is going to sound a little esoteric, but it's like music is quite literally the language that I experience the world through. So when I'm walking through the world, whether it's in the city, on the street, or I'm out in nature, I'm like hearing the music of that experience in my head. And it's really just this drive to keep hearing more and wanting to hear more music and wanting to create more music with my body. And it's almost like one would need air or water. For me personally, it's just all I want to do. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, all I want to do is play music. I want to play music, with my friends. I want to play music by myself. I want to be in a world of sound all the time.
I love that. That to me, it just sounds like it's a part of your being. Like you have to do it, like you must do it. And it definitely comes through in your music. It's no longer an obligation. It's something that you not only love, but you feel like you have to do it
Yeah.
in order to exist as a person.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really hard. It's really complicated to create a life that can accommodate that. Most of the years that I've been doing this, it's just a struggle to even get to the place where I want to get to, whether, to make music, for every reason that everyone like has to get through life. You got to pay bills, you got responsibilities, I got family now. Like, so it's like the hours that are available for what my body and mind want to do the most become less and less available. And it's always like that. It's like I would, work 3 jobs just so that I could have like, an hour or 2 a day to like play music, when I was starting out. And like, and even now, there are situations where I'm working on something that's more curated, and even though it's a job in that sense, I still like fill it with that love and passion that I have for music. So, it's kind of the best job I could ever imagine.
Absolutely. How did you stay motivated while you were kind of going through that period where you were only guaranteed maybe an hour or 2 a day? Because that is really a grind and it can be emotionally taxing.
Yeah, for sure. How did it's just that sense of desire. It's like a pining. So, you'd work in a restaurant or like, work in a store so you could pay your rent. And then man, you get that free time at night and you go practice with the band in the band room, or, you go to a rehearsal room or you practice in your room at home, whatever you're doing. Like, and that's it. Like that's what you put all that energy into, like grinding to make a living. so that you could get that moment. And then it just starts to build on itself. It's like you practice more, you're writing more songs, you're getting better at it. So you're getting better opportunities, and, and slowly but surely, hopefully the time that you're giving to something else starts to come back to the music. And, I think it was just a hopefulness and, a little bit of a blind faith that one day perhaps like the scale would balance in the favor of music, as opposed to grinding to get there.
Absolutely. Definitely love that you pointed out hope and faith. Staying the course is extremely important. So I'm glad you did, because it's definitely paid off.
It's a long game, I mean, look, for some people, some people like they got it and they're just like on it from day one, and they launch into an amazing career early on in their life. But most of the people I know that are still in this business that I've known for the last 20 years or so, like, they're ones who just stayed at it and kept working and kept growing, as individuals, as musicians, seeking out new ways to like use what they have as their skills and apply it to like music. You gotta be hungry, and you gotta be really flexible and diverse in like how you split up your efforts with music, cause like as an instrumentalist, obviously you want to be the best at your instrument you can. You got to put the time in practicing, getting your craft good. But like, if you're the best guitarist in New York City, but you never leave your bedroom, like you're not going to get anywhere. Like, a big part of it too is like, how do you compartmentalize your music time, so that you're moving everything forward for your career. And it's not just only about like the fundamentals of playing an instrument, but it's like, how do you engage with other musicians and artists? How do you get on stages? How do you promote your shit? Like, it's a huge kind of tapestry of things you have to always be working on every week so that you're moving it forward, and I just did it for years and grinded.
Yes, I love that you pointed out the fact that being the best in your room, it may feel good to you. You worked hard, you became like the best in your instrument, but if you aren't sharing it, then kind of leaves much to be desired.
Yeah, or like, and you're frustrated, I mean, I can't, man. Frustrated musicians are 90% of the people out there that are in the music business, because it really takes a lot of discipline and a lot of focus to go from, having talent and being really good at something, whether you're a singer or an instrumentalist, but then like engaging that talent with the world in a way that is going to benefit you, and benefit your music career.
Absolutely. That's definitely an extremely important piece. Hey everyone. Hope you're enjoying getting to know Doran Danoff so far. I wanted to take a little break to introduce you to some of his music. This song of his really stopped me in my tracks. It takes me back to the late 90s rock sound that I can never get enough of. I personally enjoy listening to it in the car with my windows down because it's meant to be played loud, and who doesn't love carpool karaoke? Here's Young Love by Doran Danoff.
Did they tell you you were wrong? Did they tell you that your love's running out of control? Why'd you build me up so strong? Just to tear me down and bruise my affections. Did you tell me that you prayed for me? Like I said that I prayed for you. Did you tell me that you prayed for me? That's just the way the young love. The young love. Wear that dress so right. My hand will make the best of the prettiest skies. Set my dreams on fire. Make them better than the stone cold rejection. Did you tell me that you prayed for me? Like I said that I prayed for you. Did you tell me that you prayed for me? That's just the way the young love. Young love. Oh, the young love. The young love. Don't you blame me for the loss it's cost me everything. Could have been more to this love than the memories of the nights and me begging you please. Don't you blame me for the loss it's cost me everything. Could have been more to this love than the memories of the nights and me begging you please. Don't you blame me, yeah, yeah. Oh, don't you blame me for the young love. Young love. But did you tell me that you prayed for me? Like I said that I prayed for you. Did you tell me that you prayed for me? Did you tell me that you love? Did you tell me that you prayed for me? Did you tell me that you love? Did you tell me that you prayed for me? That's just the way the young love. The young love. Oh, the young love. The young love.
So I picked your song Young Love. I listened to it on the way here and I was like, yep, I picked the right one. It is a banger. I love this song. So could you tell me more about the process of writing and recording it?
Yeah. Shoot. I love that song too. So thank you for picking that one. That song was really special. It kind of, I had, I put out my first record in 2012, The Ghost and the Scratch. And like I said earlier in our conversation, it was really much more of like a folk and Americana direction. You know, and through the process of getting that album done, I kind of wrote the next album, which was like a totally vintage throwback funk soul record, which eventually became The King of Crown City. But like in between, or like kind of after I wrote The King of Crown City, I was really wanting to do something that felt somewhat more contemporary. And I'm trying to remember if I think I wrote that song right when I moved to Nashville, and I had been living in Los Angeles, and I wanted to, you know, kind of write like a song that had like a really kind of mid-tempo funky beat, but that felt a little bit more like a pop song. And you know, and that's kind of what came out. I had this idea, that phrase, young love, you know, this idea of like, what is like a young new love, and that feeling of like, oh, all the opportunities are here with this romance or with this affection, like, but it's also super raw and, you know, vulnerable. And a lot of times, you know, our earliest romances don't pan out. And hence all the love songs in the world. And like, you know, I think what inspired that was just a combination of looking for a new sound and then trying to tell this story of this idea, this young love idea.
Yeah, but I love that. And I can definitely hear the Nashville influence. It's a very, punchy song, very relatable in a way that doesn't feel outplayed. Definitely a song to keep on repeat.
Yeah, it's just there's a breeziness to it, and I wanted it to feel like comforting and warm, but also have a little edge and bite, And I actually recorded that song in New York. We recorded it live, the band section live, at the studio in Dumbo, and with some of my favorite musicians. This guitarist named Scott Metzger, and the bass player Jay, and this drummer named Taylor Floreth, who are all monsters of their own. And we tracked that all out. And I remember taking all the files back to Nashville, and I was in my basement. I had my young daughter with me and my wife and stuff. And I remember doing all the coming up with the background vocal arrangement in my basement and just recording it on my own. It was kind of taking me back to my first EP, which I recorded in my apartment in Brooklyn, and kind of having faith in myself that I could do it well and do it right on my own, and putting all the synthesizer parts together, at my place. And this was back when I was just scraping by, I had my little laptop and for real, an M box or something. And just trying to make records any way I could. And then it came together great. I got it mixed with this really, really great mix. I mixed it with this great mixing engineer in Nashville. I love that song. I'm glad you picked that one.
It's a windows down type of song.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you recorded it live. How did that work with collaborating? Did you already have the instrumental parts written, or were they written together?
Yeah. So the song was written, I wrote it on piano. And had the song charted and arranged and everything. So it was more about bringing those great musicians to bring it to life, and to make it. I like a band sound. I think that recording a band playing a song live is such a magical thing that happens when you bring live musicians together and they're playing it together. And it's not just tracked individually on top of each other. There's just a breadth to the music. There's a depth to it that you can't really get when you're just stacking tracks one at a time. Not that and I do stuff like that a lot, but for me the dream is to record in a room live, because you're taking your idea that you bring to the table, my song, the lyrics, the music, the chord changes, the rhythms, that you're putting them in the hands of masters of their instruments. And then they're like, oh, well, what if we try this? And what if we kind of flip the groove this way? Or we do, some punctuations or hits. Their minds, their creativity, their contribution is invaluable to the song. It's now been taken out of solely being in my hands and in my ears. And it's brought the ears and musicality of these three bandmates into the mix, which just expands everything about the music.
Yeah, absolutely. That's invaluable, being able to take what you've written on your own and present it to people who will really handle it with care.
Yeah.
I love songs that are recorded live like that with a band. It definitely reminds me of a Jeff Buckley style of recording, like how he recorded Grace.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely warm. Yeah, that 90s band sound.
Yeah,
It's
and that
great.
goes back to the 60s and the 70s. All the giants of early rock. That's how they did it. And that's why those recordings are so vibrant and feel so real. It's because they were really playing together, and I urge people out there who are making music, to get with people more. I feel like we're in an era now where we're all super isolated. I mean, the pandemic didn't help that, but I think there's just this culture of loneliness, and music's a thing that's supposed to bring people together. And I will say personally, all of my favorite musical moments are have been with other people. And there's something there that is really, that's the sauce, as we say.
Yes, it really is. It comes through, and You can hear the chemistry and, the fun you're having in the studio through the song, even if
Yeah.
it doesn't perfectly align with the lyrics. You can just feel that, the musicians were having a good day.
Yeah.
So how have you changed since releasing the song? There's been some time. I like how you reflected about your time in New York when you were just getting started and then recording that song there and coming back and finishing it up on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. So that song, I think that was actually like the first single that I ever put out. I put it out as a single because it was kind of in between records. And then I did also include it on the King of Crown City record. And I think, that was, it really was like a bridging moment in my career. For a long time, I had just been grinding as an artist, trying to get out there and like trying to catch a break. And it's just hard as an independent artist, especially if you're not doing like super, super mainstream pop stuff to get, support. You really have to do it on your own. And I think at the time I was really making a conscious decision about what I was trying to do for the foreseeable future. And I really just said, this is what I want to do. I think I got to like focus on recording, focus on like trying to just get songs out into the world as much as possible. And, for all the things that we've been talking about, about what it takes to support your musical life so that you can even do that, so much effort and time is consumed by just the necessities, the basics of life, that whatever time is left that you can put to your art, it needs to be really focused. So I think, after I put out that Young Love single, I finished up, I can't remember the timeline, but I think I worked on the King of Crown City record. That also was a live record that we recorded in Los Angeles. The bulk of the tracks, there are a few singles that got put on there that were done in Nashville. But, from that point on, I was just like, I think I realized I didn't have to keep myself in a box of any style or genre, that I could just write the songs that I want to write and produce the records that I want to produce. And from then on, it's just been, it's just like going down the never ending song list of backlog tracks that I'm trying to produce and finish. I've got like hundreds of songs that are waiting in the locker room to get to see the light of day.
That is exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's hard though. It's just like there's so much music to make, and because the process is very, very time consuming and money consuming, it's just a slow burn for sure. Especially, in my situation these days, I've got kids and, a family and all the responsibilities for taking care of them. And, it's just, you just got to get up every day and be like, all right, let's move the needle forward a little bit. Let's get some traction on the next song, the next project, So I'm just dedicated to my craft and to continuing to put out music as much as I can. And that's what I do every day when I wake up, I'm just working on that.
That's amazing. It's great, just to, I feel like we keep going back to this, like just staying the course. It's very important, and it helps you continue growing as an individual and being happy when, times are tough, because you have this passion that you really love and that you will be able to go back to, even if it is only for an hour or two a day.
Yeah, for sure. And, one thing I'll say on that point too, which helped me a lot, for a long time, I got really consumed by I was only looking at the big picture of like the totality of all of my musical goals.
Yes. And
I think that perspective was really crippling for me for a lot of years, because I would be frustrated that like, oh man, I'm not getting that record done. But I think a little bit of a mind shift that helped me was being like, okay, let's not look at the entire forest of tasks that need to get done, but like hone in on what can you accomplish like today, this week, this month, like, as opposed to, being like, I can't put anything out until I have 12 songs that are recorded, mixed, and mastered. I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to put out singles, or like do what I can to just keep music coming out so that I can get through all the work that I've done, like to get through it all and finish it all. You just kind of have to take smaller bites with your time and be more focused and organized like that. That really helped me for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I've taken the same approach. That is amazing advice. You really, it's painful to kind of look at the big picture all the time. Like you said,
Yeah.
just like releasing singles here and there is better than waiting until you finish 12.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
and because it was, it's frustrating when you have songs that are written and that you really love and you're trying to get them done, and you're just like, you get stuck in that concept of like, it has to be on an album or it has to be on an EP. And, it doesn't, that those tropes don't apply anymore. Or not a trope, but like, the formality of that doesn't apply in our world anymore. Like I think, especially now, like people's appetite for music is very limited, or like short, has a very short span of attention. So it's like singles are a really good way to like keep your audience engaged and still get your work out. And then eventually, like when you have enough for an album, you can always throw them together and release it as an album.
I believe that's the way to do it now, honestly.
Yeah.
It helps so much, and it, keeps people engaged, and it keeps the work flowing for you as well as the artist.
Yeah.
So thinking about Young Love, you've had several years away from the release. How do you want people to feel when they listen to this song? You mentioned the fact that the Young Love, it typically doesn't last. Like, things happen, people change. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that it's one of those songs where the groove and the hooky melody line, in the instrumentation is uplifting and it feels good. And you're like, this is kind of a bop. You just kind of like cruising along, and it's got a good feeling that makes you happy, But then the lyrics, if you listen to them or read them, it's really kind of more of a sad story. It's almost like a breakup song, in a sense, but not a sense of like breaking up with one person, but almost like breaking up with a part of yourself that was so dreamy, or, had this like a sense of awe about love. And almost like when the other shoe falls and the rude awakening of life hits you in the face, and you're just like, oh man, I was really in a fantasy land of my emotions. And, I think there's an irony there between like a kind of peppy tune and lyrics that are addressing something that's a bit more like heartbreak. So I don't know. I mean, I want people to just, listen to it and feel good. Maybe it makes you smile. Maybe it makes you cry. It's so subjective. I just, I think that song in particular, I just want people to get a feeling from it, whatever that feeling is, whether it's wanting to call someone that they miss, or just like dance with their friends or their lovers. I hope that it just gives someone a space to feel their emotions, whatever they might be.
It's really cool that this song kind of takes you back and helps you reflect in a fun way. And if you read the lyrics, you'll be a little sad, but like, yeah. I think the music can like take your mind off of it. And if you really want to dive into how you felt, you can. So I think you gave both options. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, it's like, what can a songwriter say? It's sort of like, it's yours now. Like, I did my part. Like, if you like the song, I'm so happy. If you hate it, I'm happy for that too. Like for those who do like it, I would just say, I would love to hear what it makes you feel. I'd love to hear what you think, it's about, or what it brings up for you, because it's just a form of communication, and I was just trying to write down my feelings and couple them with a sick ass beat.
Yes. Yep, achieved. So how do you feel when you listen to it now? Like, yeah, like I said, several years have passed since you released it. A lot of things have changed in your life since
Yeah,
then.
for sure. I mean, I love it still, to be honest. I think it stands the test of time. And I think I'm happy for that sort of meticulousness that I've always given my music, so that, you know, however many years down the road, I won't be listening to it and be like, dang it, I hear that thing that was killing me, or like this thing is off. You know, I really work hard to iron out all the things that might bother me down the road about the production. And I love listening to it. It sort of represents a time in my life that was a transition, both like personally and musically. And it brings up all those feelings. And then when I look back on it, it's just this milestone. It's pretty cool to have songs like that you've written, that you kind of look back and you're like, oh, that was that phase of life. And I remember those feelings. And I remember, you know, making that track in the basement and having my little daughter like bust through the door while I'm trying to record a take, you know, and like, I remember all that. So it brings me a lot of joy to listen to it. And, you know, it's a special thing and that's why, you know, that's why I'm saying, like, you got to put stuff out, because like when you look back on your timeline, especially as an artist, and you see where songs were put out and when songs were put out in your life, it's like kind of looking through your personal little like musical photo book of the past. And for that, I'm grateful.
Yeah, I love that about music, that it can serve as a time capsule for not only the artist, but for the listeners as well, because it really serves as a way of looking back and saying, oh, this is how I was feeling, good or bad. It's just nice to be able to document it through sound.
Yeah, it really is, you know, it really is like that. And it's magical. And in, you know, in some sense, that's there forever, you know, like my kids will listen to it, and maybe my grandkids will listen to it one day, you know, and so on. And that's it. It's like a little artifact from a period in my life.
If you could speak to your younger self, what would you say?
If I could speak to my younger self, oh boy. What
Big
would
question.
I say? Yeah. Like, how young? I mean, what could I say? I would say, you know, keep your eyes open and keep working hard. I think, I don't know, man. What do you say to your younger self? Fucking get your shit together. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss on this thing or not. But, you know, like, I mean, there's so many moments where I made mistakes, you know, and I'm like Marty McFly. I go back and what do? Like, change the course of life, but then I wouldn't have landed where I am, you know? And yep. I think, you know, just like, rather than saying something to my previous self, I think saying something to my today self, which is like, hey, you know, all the trials and tribulations that got you here, you know, don't look away from them, but like look towards them and see how they either helped or hurt you, and just change the course from this day forward, you know, so that maybe the things that held you back in the past won't hold you back moving forward in the future. You know, I guess I tell myself to just keep practicing, stay being nice, because I think in a lot of ways, like, it's just the path that we fall into, especially in music, it's so unpredictable, and the things that have to hold you together are the things that matter most, which is like what you carry in your heart and how you treat other people, and, you know, how you treat music. I always really made an effort of like giving music the honest commitment that it needs to make it a true part of your life. And, you know, and then even more paramount than that was like how I was treating people around me, whether it was like my writing partners or my bandmates, you know, and always just trying to be like, give them the most honest, open, you know, commitment of like truth and love and affection and drive and all those things. So, you know, it's hard to say. If I think about this question, it's gonna be in my mind all day now, because I'm gonna be like, what would I really say to my previous self? I mean, there's not one thing. I can't really say one thing. I don't know.
You said a lot of good things, though. I mean, it really does matter how you treat people, and I think that's a great thing in itself to say to yourself today and yesterday.
You know what I'll say? I'd say there's one thing, just like on a real mechanical thing, I would be like, yo, man, network more. That would be, you know, I'll say that, like, networking and I mean that in the broadest sense. It could be like going to shows or going, you know, to industry things. But I think I was real, like, pure about my stuff back in the day. And I was like, I'm not trying to go to like, you know, happy hour, this, that, like networking, industry mingling, all that. But I would say that, like, you know, nowadays, especially because everyone's so isolated, much more like at home, more like not really out in the world, like get out in the world, like, get out there and meet people, because that's how you expand your opportunities. And to be honest, that's how you like meet magical people that will like find something inside of you that you didn't even know was there and bring it out. And, you know, I think that would be a good advice, would be not to be so shy and get out there more.
So what's next for you? I know you're constantly working on solo projects and projects for other artists.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just put out a single at the beginning of the month, this new song called Gotta Get Back. That was a fun track that I worked on with some buddies here in Nashville. I've got a number of some other singles that are in the works, probably going to be releasing in the early spring. I've been working on this really ambitious collaborative project that was kind of a protest song written. It was started about a year or two ago, really kind of in response to some of the social justice issues that were going on in the country. So I worked with like a bunch of singers from around the country to like sing on this track, and it's got a whole social justice message. So I'm working on getting that thing out, which I'm excited for. I'm excited to kind of put music into that space and use my music for that endeavor. And then, you know, it's just more music. You know, I'm working on film and TV stuff a lot, just different projects, working on my songs, you know, and just living, you know, just living that music life. I don't know what else I can say. It's just stay tuned, because there's more coming, you know. I'm going to keep it flowing as long as I can.
Yes, I'm definitely excited to dig in, definitely excited to hear that protest song. Always love hearing songs in that category. So we spoke about the beast that is social media and the internet. So where can people find you?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not like, you know, a crazy active person on social media, but, you know, I would say I'm most active on Instagram, where, you know, I share stuff about what's going on. I have a website. It's just my name, dorandanoff.com, and people can link to my tracks. I've got a vinyl and some CDs for sale too, through Bandcamp. I don't know if you guys know Bandcamp. And other than that, you know, just wherever you listen to music, it's free now for everyone. So everyone enjoy enjoy everyone's work for free.
Dig in. Yeah.
But, you know, if you want to support, you can buy CDs and stuff just through my website.
Awesome. Yeah, we're definitely excited to stream your music, buy it, and, you know, dig into what you've already released, and look forward to hearing what you will be releasing soon. So thank you so much, Doran. I had a lot of fun talking with you today. Thank you for listening to In My Tracks. The show was created and produced by me, your host and friend, Jada Burt. And shout out to Play Audio Agency for producing, recording, and editing the show, and for composing the original theme music you are currently jamming out to. It is truly a labor of love, and I hope you enjoy it. To continue the fun, follow In My Tracks Pod on all social channels. Don't forget to use hashtag InMyTracksPod to share the songs that stop you in your tracks. Looking to discover even more awesome music? Follow In My Tracks Pod on Spotify for weekly playlists. And please remember to follow the show so you don't miss an episode. And leave a review if you're enjoying it. See you next time!